What is masculinity? Well, in order to find out what anything is, you always go to Google, right? So I went to Google to figure out what the definition of masculinity was, at least in Google's opinion, and something funny happened. I'll pop it up on the screen here, but essentially it gave me an AI overview of a list of what masculinity could be. Traditional classic masculinity, harmful toxic masculinity, and healthy modern masculinity. Well, okay, for now let me explain the first one. The core traits: physical strength, stoicism, hiding emotions, competitiveness, independence, assertiveness, dominance, being a provider and a protector behaviors, suppressing vulnerability, avoiding help, seeking, projecting toughness, and showing power. Healthy modern masculinity is a focus, a broader, more authentic expression of manhood that integrates traditionally masculine and feminine traits. Odd. And then, of course, they give the definition of harmful toxic masculinity, which I was a little taken aback, honestly, because I just wanted a simple what is masculinity, and this is what Google gave me. Definition of toxic masculinity: a narrow, rigid, often oppressive version of masculinity that harms men and those around them, according to the American Psychological Association. Examples: aggression, misogyny, homophobia, substance abuse, emotional unavailability, often leading to violence and mental health issues. Okay, and then to contrast that, I wanted to look up what femininity meant. Okay, when I looked up femininity on Google, no AI overview. And I even tried typing femininity AI overview. The only thing that came up was feminine AI voices. Like offering me, thinking I'm looking for like a feminine AI voice. Okay. So the only thing that came up was a generic Google definition, which is femininity: qualities or attributes regarded as characteristics of women or girls. That should be the same exact definition for masculinity, which it does exist. You have to scroll down a little bit though, because the AI overview pops up and you can't really go anywhere except that. That's the first thing that pops up. And, you know, humans, we're not gonna scroll. We're gonna look at the first thing that pops up. So already you're seeing this pattern, this patterning of propaganda happening with this definition of what masculinity is, and it's almost like something out there is trying to convince us that masculinity in and of itself is toxic. And that's toxic. Welcome to Treu Sovereignty, where we are mastering our minds so we can reclaim our peace. On this channel, we talk about cultivating sovereignty, independence, emotional maturity, psychology, philosophy, controversial topics, political issues, and sometimes just the absurdities of life. So welcome. My last video completely blew up. It's gotten to 11K views now at this moment as I'm speaking. Who knows if it's gonna go further than that. It's gotten me, at this point, well beyond 600 subscribers, and I just wanna say thank you. I wanna say thank you because this is my dream, and I didn't think that I would ever have a video that blew up necessarily. I thought my growth would be gradual over time. This just goes to show that having a dream and working hard towards that dream, even when you see no progress, is worth it, and it's gonna work out in the end. Content creation is ebbs and flows. This video might not even do that great. Who knows? You just never know. But I hope you enjoy my content, even if it's not necessarily about men and women being toxic. Although my last video was about how every single person, man or woman, needs to start taking accountability, and we all need to figure out our path to emotional maturity. If you want to go check it out, obviously it's my most popular video. Thank you so much, because without you, I can't do this. And this is my dream. I love talking, I love speaking, and I just have so many thoughts running in my head, so thank you for being here with me on this journey. Let's get into the video. So here's the truth, and I think it's an objective truth. I don't think it's just my opinion. But masculine and feminine are neutral terms. They are just a way to explain the way that somebody goes about life. For example, you can have a feminine man and a masculine woman. But whether a woman is feminine traditionally and a man is masculine traditionally, we also both possess masculine and feminine traits on a sliding scale. So the fact of the matter is, neither one, femininity or masculinity, is inherently toxic. There are toxic people, though, that possess toxic traits, and we all possess toxic traits varyingly here and there. But at the end of the day, not all masculinity is toxic, and not all femininity is toxic. But I feel like masculinity is being broadly painted as toxic. Like, if you are born a male, you are inherently toxic, and you need to repent like a sinner. You're born a sinner, right? I don't believe that. But they're treating it as if you are a male, which you can't help. That's just something that you are. Being male is toxic in and of itself, and I think that that is incredibly harmful rhetoric. Like, you must repent. How dare you be a male? How dare you have some semblance of masculinity? How dare you like to go fishing and hunting and riding ATVs and working with your hands and wearing flannels and Carhartts? How dare you? I think this is incredibly harmful rhetoric, especially for young boys. They're being told that they are wrong. And in childhood, when you're told that you are wrong, that fucks you up. That creates trauma. Raise your child right, and they won't grow up toxic. Have children and teach them values, teach them respect, teach them morals, and they won't grow up toxic, male or female. You see how in the definition on Google, modern masculinity, healthy masculinity, was like embracing your feminine traits. They're literally saying, yay, congratulations, you're a born-again, feminized man. And that's essentially how they're looking at men these days. They're trying to push feminine traits onto men. Be more feminine. Jesus Christ. Here's the deal. Men, I come to you as a woman telling you it's okay to be masculine. And in fact, we need masculine men. And that I'm more afraid of men who are not masculine. I think feminized men are actually more dangerous than masculine men. What does true masculinity mean to me? Well, let me tell you what true masculinity is in the words of a man as opposed to in the words of me. This comes from something that my good friend said. He's a man. This is what being a man is to him. Protect those who are weaker than you. Do hard things even if you don't want to. And if you have a problem, figure it out. And I would even add to that, it's good to have a bit of stoic nature. If you watch my other videos, they're not about how to be a man specifically, but they are about how to be an adult and how to grow up. And I think overall being a man or a woman, it's just about growing the fuck up. I think men who are afraid of their own masculinity because they've been told that it's bad are actually insecure, unsure of themselves, lost, disgruntled, frustrated types of human beings, possibly even depressed. And let me give you an example of why I think feminized men are dangerous, okay? When I was around 19 years old, I took a trip to Camden in New Jersey. Not a very safe place, right? We had to take the River Line, and if you know the River Line, it is not a safe train. It is ghetto, to say the least. And my friends, which was a group of men, 19 years old as well, we were on this train, and I was sitting kind of alone, and they were sitting kind of near me. We were all together for the most part. But this guy, who was obviously maybe on drugs, maybe homeless, I'm not really sure, but he was dirty, came and sat next to me, and he would not leave me the fuck alone. He was obviously trying to hit on me, talk to me, get my number, something. His intentions were slightly aggressive. And I was wide-eyed, kind of trying to ignore him, but also like, But I was kind of like wide-eyed looking at my male friends who were on this train with me, trying to subtly signal to them to help me. Please help me from this scary man. And none of them, it was like 3 or 4 of them, none of them did anything. Let me describe these men to you. Hardcore liberal, neckbeards, nerds, a little overweight, kind of like passive types of men. Stoners, kind of losers. Yes, I was hanging out with those people at 19 years old. But it was at that moment that I realized, wow, just because I'm hanging out with men doesn't mean I'm protected. And I have to protect myself. You know, I'm 5'1", 130 pounds, maybe at the time 120 pounds. There was not much I could do if he were to attack me or try to kidnap me or something like that. Especially at that age, I didn't really have much self-preservation at that age. I didn't have any knowledge of like self-defense or anything like that. You know, this is what happens when you tell men that their masculinity is wrong. They lose their sense, their ability to protect. You know, if you're a good man, you're gonna be a protector, pretty much, right? Even of a stranger. But these guys were my friends, for fuck's sake. At least I thought they were. At the end, the guy just kind of went away. I don't really remember what happened to him, but I think he just kind of went away after he realized I wasn't reacting. Thankfully. Best case scenario, right? But it could have been a lot worse. I think we can also add nice guys to this group of feminized men. Don't want to embrace their masculinity in fear of being ostracized by women, but they still have that primitive urge inside of them to fuck women. So they go to these odd lengths in order to cater to women, like, oh, well, I'm a feminist and I took you out to dinner, but why won't you come to my place? Why won't you come home with me? And then they get frustrated. They're confused, they're frustrated. They don't know what's going on, because the truth is, deep down inside, women want a man who can be her best friend, an authentic man who can protect her and be her best friend. That's what they want. They don't want this performative male performance where you're like faking being a feminist while at the same time trying to get laid. I mean, to me, that's icky, and it's fake. It's a little narcissistic, but I think that's what this feminization of men is doing. It's affecting men in all different types of ways, and these are just a few of the ways that I mentioned. And yes, feminist men are a part of this, obviously. Performative males, men just like pretending to be someone thoughtful and intuitive, creative, all in the name of getting laid. Men will go to the wildest lengths to get their dicks wet. So hear me when I say this. Men, we need you. Okay? I hear you, I see you, and I'm telling you that we need you. Society has a place for men. Large labor jobs that need strong people to work them. Men are more interested in tinkering and problem solving. That's great for mechanics, working on cars, plumbing, electricians. These are very male-dominated areas, which is why I'm mentioning this. Men take on the dirty work. Men take on the work that not a lot of us want to do. And I'm not saying women don't, but it's a much, much smaller percentage of women who actually do these jobs that men are more willing to do. And that's just the truth. Go look at videos of oil rigs out in the middle of the sea. I can imagine probably 90% of the people on those oil rigs, maybe more, are men. So yes, obviously we need men. And I, as a woman, am telling you that. I personally think that this is an obvious statement, and women who tell you otherwise, which is usually women on TikTok saying, we don't need men, we don't need men. But anybody to tell you otherwise is a fucking idiot, okay? And you don't have to listen to those people, because they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I'm not saying men are perfect, but we need men in society. Without men, we wouldn't be born, okay? That's just one obvious reason. But there's other reasons as well. So stop listening to this bullshit. The media, the rhetoric, the propaganda. Here's a conspiracy for you. The elites are trying to feminize men. And why are they trying to do this? Because they do not want the stronger portion of society, which is men, biologically. They do not want men to rise up and fight the system. They don't even want men to realize that there is a system that needs to be fought. They want us fat, sick, lazy, stupid. This isn't about the patriarchy wanting to control women. This is about billionaires wanting to control everyone. They want to control men, they want to control women, they want to control all of society. I think by now this should be obvious to you. And if you don't believe this, if you still think men are trying to just control women, I think you're a little behind. Maybe it was like that at one point, but I think we're beyond that now, and we should wake up and realize that the entirety of society is at risk to losing their freedoms here. Things are being presented to us as solutions to problems they created, and they want us to take their solutions because their solutions will lead us down a road of total control. And that is what they want. They want everybody to be monitored, controlled, dumb, stupid, lazy, fat, sick, hungry, tired, poor, you name it. That's what they want. Who's they? The elites. Anybody who's a billionaire. Anybody who has money beyond money is in the club that you will never hear about through the media, and you will never be a part of it either. Never. You can see some of the people that are in this club. I would say Trump, Elon Musk, obviously, any politician, Biden, Kamala, whoever. They're all in the club, sure. They might be on the lower tier, but they're in there. Celebrities. These people that you can see, yes, they're in the club, but technically they're also victims of the club. There are people above them that we cannot see, and those are the people pulling the strings. I mean, just look at the statistics. Men account for 80% of all the self-deletion deaths in the United States. Testosterone rates are plummeting. Men my age, on average, have the testosterone of a man in his 70s way back in the 80s. And this is due to, obviously, fast food, which leads to weight gain, alcohol consumption, sedentary lifestyle, plastics everywhere, maybe shit in the water. Tons of ways that they have been purposefully lowering testosterone. Just lowering the health of the people in the United States in general, men and women. So there's obviously an attack against men and against masculinity. And if you're a woman who cares about this, here's what you can do. All you can do is control who is in your circle, right? So whether it's to your husband, your brother, your father, your friends, whoever. We need to stop shaming men for having feelings, for having emotions, for having troubles, for having problems. We need to listen to men, understand them, have empathy for them, be there for them, support them in any way that we can. And overall, they need our kindness and our patience. Men and women think differently. That's just the truth. That's how it's always been. So there's always going to be misunderstandings or the need for compromise. And we need to not feel so resentful of that and instead accept it. You know, especially if you're a straight woman or any type of a man hater. It's time to stop blaming men and just assuming that somebody's evil or sexist or misogynist just because of what's in between their legs. Men have problems, women have problems, but those are different problems. And the best thing that we can do is just have empathy for each other and try to understand each other and improve ourselves to the best of our abilities. As my other video said, we need to take accountability. So men, what can you do? Again, you can't change the world through changing every single person. That's just not possible. How to change the world is changing yourself. You can try to spread the message like I do on here. You can try your best. It's kind of hard to change people's minds, not gonna lie. But if you find yourself failing at trying to spread the message, the best thing you can do is be a better person. That's really all we can do. Just try to better ourselves every single day, and in that, hopefully we can inspire those, at least in our circle, our immediate circle. I had to put this in here because Nora Vincent is, I believe, the first woman to actually kind of speak out about this. If you don't know who she is, look her up. She spent her life being a man for 18 months, and her conclusion was that we essentially need to treat men better, and we should, at the very least, try to understand them and where they're coming from, because their life is different. Their problems are different. It seems these days that not even men care about other men, and especially women don't care about men. So instead of shaming men for being men, or being a different kind of man than you are, or not being a real man, whatever that means, instead of shaming men, how about we lift each other up? Lift people up. Put positivity out into the world. Support each other. It's us against the elites, the billionaires, not us against each other. So this is a quote from Nora Vincent. Rest in peace. I wanted to put this in here. People see weakness in a woman and they want to help. They see weakness in a man and they want to stamp it out. And I chose that quote because I felt that it really said a lot to how people see men versus women. They're much more willing to lend a helping hand to a woman, beautiful or not, than they ever will be to a man. I think that's a little fucked up. I can relate to men because I date women. I'm a dyke. I've dated men as well, but mostly women. And what I can say is that women are not easy to deal with, okay? It's not easier dating men versus women, it's just different. Women are not more emotionally intelligent. Women do not take more accountability. Women are not superior in anything related to having a relationship. Women are just as immature, abusive, toxic as any man could be. Again, like I said prior in the video, there are toxic people in this world. Everybody has the ability to be toxic, and everybody has the ability to become a healthy, better version of themselves. We should not be blaming men or women, we should be blaming ourselves. And of course, another piece of experience I have with men is that I have a slew of male friends. I've always had male friends. I've had tons of them in my life. And just because they're men doesn't mean their life is any better. They're struggling. A lot of them are lost, confused. A lot of them just want love and connection. A lot of them just want to be understood, just like anybody else. They're not these sex-crazed monsters that we paint them to be. I think they just need to be listened to and understood, as opposed to written off like they're these stone statues that don't have feelings. Men have feelings. Men are human. We need to embrace imperfection, not only in others, but in ourselves. Once you do the shadow work, you start to realize that every single person can be empathized with. I think Carl Jung stated, which I kind of disagree with, but he stated that once you do your inner work, it's really hard for you to hate people because you understand too much why people are the way they are, even their toxicity. And I would slightly disagree. There's definitely people that I dislike and that I'm disgusted by, but overall, I think I can still, at the very least, empathize. Okay, you're this way because ... but that doesn't mean I like you, you know? And if we could just view people like that, give people more benefit of the doubt, give people some grace. And for the sake of this video, men, give men some grace. So if you like this type of content, like, share, comment, subscribe. Please tell me your experiences down below. Tell me your experiences about being a man. If you're a woman and you agree with what I said, let me know. If you totally 100% disagree with what I've said, also let me know. Any commenting helps. I'm a brand new content creator, and this has just been an amazing, wild journey, and I can't wait to create more content for you guys. And I am so glad you're resonating, so glad you're relating, and I'm so glad I can make people feel seen and heard, because that's what I'm here for. So until next time, I will see you in the next video.